Imagine, a commander banned his crew from joining the fight. Everyone was shocked because he had a mysterious strategy no one understood. But then, he took to the skies himself and downed 97 enemy planes, the ones called Zeros. People couldn't believe it. How did one man and his team turn the impossible into reality? This is a story of courage, strategy, and legendary skill that still echoes through history. Our pilot was born in a small town, a quiet place where life was simple, but his mind was full of curiosity and dreams. From a young age, he was fascinated by machines and speed, by engines and the thrill of flight. Every time he saw a plane soar above, he imagined himself at the controls, slicing through clouds, feeling the wind rushing past. As he grew older, fascination turned into determination. He joined the Air Force, ready to dedicate his life to the skies, to become a pilot who could face anything. Hours turned into days, and days into weeks as he trained tirelessly. Flight simulators, practice planes, endless drills. Every moment forged his skills, his precision, his instincts. He learned not just to fly, but to think like a pilot, to remain calm under pressure when every second could mean life or death. By the time he joined his squadron, he was ready for real combat, ready to face the enemy in the deadliest skies. But nothing could prepare him for the mission that would make history. The war had already begun to reshape the skies. Engines roared above cities and oceans. Fighter planes crossed borders like shadows, and every mission carried the weight of life and death. Among the many young pilots sent into this chaos was one man whose story would become legend. His early missions were intense. He flew sorties deep over enemy territory, where anti-aircraft fire lit up the sky like deadly fireworks. Searchlights hunted him in the darkness. Enemy fighters circled like predators waiting for a mistake. But he rarely made mistakes. While others reacted to danger, he seemed to anticipate it. He studied patterns in the sky. He memorized the way enemy formations moved. He watched how they turned, how they climbed, how they retreated. And then he struck. His attacks were precise, not reckless, not desperate, calculated. Other pilots began to notice. They whispered about the way he moved through dogfights, calm, almost surgical. They said he could sense danger before it appeared. They said he could read the sky like a chessboard. Soon, respect followed him wherever he flew. But so did fear. Allies admired him. Enemies learned to dread his presence. And then, everything changed. A shocking order came down from the top command. His entire crew was banned from participating in the next major battle. No explanation, no debate, just an order. The squadron was stunned. Why were they being stopped? Some believed the commander was afraid of losing his best pilots. Others suspected politics. Some thought it was a strategic reserve move. But tension spread quickly through the hangar. Pilots who had trained side by side now stood in silence. Engines roared in the distance as other squadrons prepared for combat. Tools clanged, mechanics worked without speaking. The air felt heavy. Every pilot understood what this meant. To be grounded during a decisive battle was more than an order, it was an insult. But their leader remained calm. He knew something they didn't. He had a plan. The night before the battle, the hangar lights glowed dimly against polished metal wings. He walked alone between aircraft shadows, thinking. War was not won by emotion, it was won by timing. The next morning, the day of battle arrived. The sky was unpredictable. Low clouds drifted like restless spirits. Wind gusts rattled the airfield. He inspected his plane personally. Every rivet, every wing joint, every machine gun barrel. Fuel tanks were filled, weapons were calibrated, maps were studied again and again. He trusted nothing to chance. While others questioned the order, he prepared, because he knew that when the moment came, hesitation would mean death. Then came the signal. Engines roared to life, the runway trembled beneath spinning propellers, and he took off. As his aircraft climbed into the clouds, enemy Zeros appeared on the horizon, fast, agile, deadly. The sky erupted. Gunfire streaked across the air, smoke trails cut through sunlight, explosions echoed like thunder. Dogfight. In seconds, chaos consumed the battlefield. Planes twisted and rolled in impossible angles. Some spiraled downward in flames, others vanished into cloud cover. But he moved differently. He didn't chase blindly. He controlled altitude. He forced enemies into disadvantageous positions. He used the sun to blind them. He baited them into tight turns where their speed became weakness. Every shot he fired counted. He didn't spray bullets. He waited, measured distance, calculated trajectory, then fired. Enemy aircraft burst into smoke one after another. The radio crackled with confusion from opposing forces. Who was this pilot? How was he dismantling formations so effortlessly? The dogfight intensified. Multiple enemies targeted him at once, but he anticipated their angles. He dove sharply, rolled beneath one fighter, climbed behind another. Precision, calm, control. On the ground, observers could barely follow what was happening in the sky. To them, it was chaos. To him, it was strategy unfolding perfectly. Minutes turned into what felt like hours. Fuel ran low, ammunition decreased. Yet the sky looked different now. Enemy numbers were shrinking. By the end of the mission, the impossible had been achieved. 97 enemy Zeros destroyed. 97? The number seemed unreal. Back at base, the band crew watched in disbelief. They had witnessed something beyond ordinary skill. They had witnessed a masterclass in aerial warfare. When he returned, the runway was silent. His aircraft touched down smoothly, scarred but intact. Mechanics ran forward, pilots surrounded him. News spread quickly across command units. Some commanders criticized his unorthodox methods. They said he had taken unnecessary risks. They questioned how such a feat was even possible. Others called him a genius. Historians would later describe the battle as one of the most remarkable feats of aerial combat in World War II. Medals were awarded, reports were filed. But for him, it was never about fame. He hadn't fought for glory. He had fought for survival, for strategy, for protecting his crew from a battle that could have destroyed them unprepared. The controversial order now made sense. He understood the enemy's formation weakness. He had predicted their aggressive opening move. He knew they would overextend, and they did. His tactics became a case study. Future pilots studied his maneuvers. Air combat training manuals referenced strategies similar to his. Decades later, military historians would still debate how one man achieved what seemed mathematically impossible. But legends are not built from numbers alone. They are built from courage, from preparation, from the ability to remain calm when the world is on fire. Today, his name may not be known to everyone. Time has a way of hiding even the brightest stories, but his legacy remains in every pilot who studies aerial tactics. One man, one aircraft, 97 enemy planes. A commander's controversial decision, a plan no one understood until it worked. This is not just a story of war. It is a story of courage under pressure, of strategy over emotion, of discipline defeating chaos. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest victories are achieved not by following the crowd, but by understanding the battlefield better than anyone else. Remember this pilot, the one who defied expectations, the one who turned the impossible into reality, the legend forever etched into the skies.